Well, our next guest is a former cop turned private detective who spent 7 years of her life hunting down a notorious serial conman dubbed Charlie. She travelled the globe to help the women duped out of their life savings by Charlie and sought to find out how and why he chose them as his victims. Julia Robson joins us now from Melbourne. It's good to see you, Julia. Thank you for joining us. This sounds like a plot out of a movie. How did you first hear about Charlie?
Yeah, well, it was when Fremantle decided to take this on. They did kind of question whether this was real life, and it is a story bigger than what anyone could have ever imagined to be the truth. But this all started in 2011 when my client Vivian came to me. She had said she'd been in a brief but intense sexual relationship with a man calling himself Charlie. He had managed to trick her out of $70,000. And while she said, look, I'm probably not going to get that money back, she just knew that he wasn't who he says he was. So this is all about uncovering his real identity, tracking him around the world and getting some justice for his victims.
Julia, had you dealt with this sort of person before? Have you had any experiences like this?
Look, Charlie is an interesting character because he's not only scamming people online, he's then taking it that one step further and actually meeting them in the real world. So normally they'd either just keep their scams to the digital world or they'd do it in person, not both.
So how do you actually go about hunting down a con artist?
Well, that's just it, isn't it? And that's what we really explore throughout the podcast is understanding, okay, well, firstly, how do we work out his true identity? And in this instance, we had to do a bit of surveillance on him to work out where he was going back to. And from there, we were able to work out some things that he had put in his real name. But then we take a deep dive into not only his background, but also identifying further victims to come and really working out how we can track his next move and get on top of Charlie's trail, really.
So, Julia, who did he end up actually being? So I'm looking at all those places. I know all those places. Charlie's not me, is it?
No, look, in this instance, Charlie isn't you, but he did use a number of aliases, including his own family members, in order to continue scams.
Wow.
So this is what we're really trying to show, is that he really changes into all these different characters, and he changes his identity by deed poll, and he goes this one step further that people just go, there is no way this guy's been able to get away with this for this long.
Wow. So we just saw a picture of him, obviously, that is the guy you found. What's his real name, and is he still out and about now, still scamming people?
So his real name is Paul Gill. He's originally from New Zealand. In terms of where he is now, well, this is what the whole podcast is about. This is about tracking him down. And although I can't really tell you what he's up to at this point in time, I'd like to think that everyone's pretty satisfied by the end of the podcast.
Wow.
So have you got any tips on how regular people can spot a con artist?
Well, this is just it, because everyone that we came across in the podcast, they all were very internet savvy, and that is always the best place to start, is to try and work out their digital profile. Can you see some kind of history? Can you verify the little things that they're saying about themselves? And if you can't, there's probably some really good red flags there that you may need to be wary of.
This is a journey that takes you right across the world over the course of 7 years. It's called Chasing Charlie. It's a podcast and you can download it wherever you get your podcasts from. Julia, thanks for joining us today. Can't wait to listen.
Thanks, Julia.
Thanks so much for having me.